You're listening to the Esoterics Podcast.
Hey everyone, this is Jo.
And I'm Fioraliz, and this is the Esoterics Podcast.
Welcome. This is going to be a fun conversation. Well, I don't know about fun, but it'll be a good conversation today. Hey, so tell us about Joshua Tree. Tell us about your weekend.
So we went up to Joshua Tree. It was my husband and I and our friend Joseph, and we went up, stayed at an Airbnb, and it was weather was perfect. It was just cold enough, and
So it was cozy.
Yeah, it was cozy, and it wasn't too many people. And I had a couple of realizations. One is that I'm generally always late when I have my kids with me. But if I don't have my kids with me, I can be not just on time, but I can actually be early. So that was nice. And then we stayed at this Airbnb, and we booked it pretty quickly and last minute, and we didn't really check out the reviews, and it was kind of lacking a lot of things.
Don't we kind of have that's like a recurring theme with us, like Airbnbs.
Yeah.
It's like, where are all the good things? I mean, are they afraid that people are going to steal stuff?
This was worse though than what we were missing. What were we missing at that retreat? We were I think we didn't have cup measures. We didn't have
there was a lot of stuff that wasn't
little things
happening.
Or whatever. Okay, this place didn't have an oven.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
did it have?
It just a cooktop with 2 burners, and they were induction. And if you know anything about induction burners, they can only operate on certain types of stainless steel pots and pans. And so if you don't have the right type of pan, it's not going to function. They provide the pans, so that wasn't the problem. But yeah, there was no fucking oven, and I always bring a pizza or something, for oven stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're struggling, but we made the best of it. We really did.
Nice.
Yeah.
And just for the record, no, nobody knows anything about induction ovens except for you. That's yours alone.
I know. Induction cooktops are great because they heat up everything super, super quick. If you want water to boil, it's I don't know, 30 seconds to a minute, just depending on the power.
What?
Yeah, it's cool.
Nice.
It's cool.
Okay.
But
are they the ones that glow from the bottom?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is that what induction is?
Yes, but they're not supposed to heat up outside of the circle. Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, they only heat directly on the pan that you place on top of it. It's cool. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm a gas flame girl myself,
Mm-hmm.
a lover of the flame.
Me too.
So, a metalsmith. I like the fire.
Mm-hmm. Just in Joshua Tree, because of the heat, they can't have gas.
Oh, that's right. See, these are things that you just don't think about.
Right.
Or
right.
I don't think about.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Though.
Yeah, when it's out in the desert, also running gas lines through the desert. I mean, I'm sure you can.
No bueno.
No, you don't want to do
Not
that.
Not a good idea.
No, don't do that.
Explosion and all the Joshua trees that are protected.
I know those poor endangered Joshua trees.
Aww. Yeah.
Let's save those guys. But yeah, it was great. And we want to go back. We're only an hour and a half from Joshua Tree.
Nice.
So
nice.
Yeah. So we're actually talking more. I want to go back and actually do a hike because we didn't get to hike this time. And our son likes hiking. The girls are like, no, just leave us out of it. Leave us out of
busy on their phones.
Yeah, they're busy on their phones, just chilling. So no.
I am an hour and a half from the ocean here, and it's just such a cool place to be. We're 3 hours from Seattle, and
Yeah.
a couple hours from the California border,
Just a few minutes from
Northern
Vancouver.
California.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm just a few minutes,
Yeah.
from Vancouver, Washington, which is a really cool city. So it's a really cool place to be. It really is. I mean, it was the same thing in Michigan. In Michigan, I think it was a little bit more convenient because I was like an hour and a half from Detroit, like
Yeah.
3 hours from
Yeah.
Chicago, 3 hours from the Mackinac Bridge and the Upper Peninsula, and then of course, an hour from any given Great Lake.
Yeah.
So it was very convenient, but
Yeah, I think
it's
sometimes we
cool.
take for granted
Yeah,
what is close to us and what we do have the
yeah,
ability to see. It's very cool to be able to be
it
within
is.
driving distance to see some cool, really neat stuff. Yeah.
Yes, within driving distance to snow, and I hate snow, but if I ever wanted it, there it is, Mount Hood, right?
Yeah.
Within driving distance to mountains, within driving distance to, within driving distance within reason to the
Mm-hmm.
desert, or someplace like Utah, which is flipping gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
So it's cool. It's cool. I'm enjoying my the location that I'm in now.
Yeah, I definitely want to come see you in Portland in the spring, when it's nicer weather, and go on a hike. And so.
Yeah, because when you posted those pictures of you and your husband and son on that
Mm-hmm.
hike, and I was like, I'm gonna not do that. When I was looking at the pictures, I was like, why did I not go? Why did I not? Because that was beautiful, and I haven't done anything like that,
It was
since
beautiful.
I've been here. So yeah, I should have joined you that day, but I forget what I was doing. I was doing something.
I did fall on my ass in the ice, though. That was not fun. So that's why I'm saying, like, I'll come back in the spring.
When there's no chance of ice.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not to say that you can't fall on your ass, but
Yeah, but it's actually probably better to fall on ice than it is on just regular rocks and concrete or whatever. But yeah,
yes.
a trail hike with dogs and snow and ice, probably not the best combination. So
Oh, the babies went?
yeah,
The
and that's
dogs
why I
went?
slipped, because one of them started slipping and sliding, so I went to go grab her, and then I went sliding with her. So
Oh no. See, yeah, Hollis, he pulls. So
oh.
90% of the time I just let him off
Mm.
leash. And I mean, the park is pretty cool about it. There's lots of dogs in this big open field that are off leash, but yesterday I let him off leash because he had to poop,
Mhm.
and I just watch him, and then I go pick it up when he's done.
Sure.
But there was some guy there. He had like 6 dogs on a leash. So I don't know if he was a dog
Oh.
walker or whatever, but he was mad Hollis was off his leash, and he was like, "Yeah, you have to abide by the leash law too." Big old, angry, bellowing dude. And I turn around and I was like, "But do I?" Because mind your business. I was like, "Fuck off. My dog is pooping, and I'm not gonna be right there when he's pooping. I don't need to be that
Yeah,
way."
and if your dog's not gonna run up to his 6 dogs and attack them or whatever, then I'm like,
Nope.
you know what you're dealing with. Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right, yeah. And there's plenty of dogs that are off leash there. He was mad. Maybe I don't
Oh,
know, but
he's mad because he has 6 dogs and he can't let them off the leash
I
because he can't keep track of 6 dogs off a
I
leash.
mean, that's a lot of
That's a
dogs.
lot of dogs.
And even more, that's a lot of dog poop. So
Oof.
sorry about your problems. But,
uh,
all right.
all right, what announcements do we have?
So let me see. I have a couple. My one-on-one mentoring sessions will soon be available as downloadable courses, intuitive development, and then learning how to work in the Akashic records, how to open your record, all of that good stuff. That's going to be available sometime in February, and then I'm also offering a new 30-minute spirit guide reading. For very specific questions or areas of challenge. This reading is just $55, so it's inexpensive and it gets right to the point. There's no numerology. It is boom, boom, boom. Let's get this done. And this is for people that have these burning questions, or you need to know the source of something. Why is this happening? What's going on? And this is a great reading for getting to the root of the problem. Like I said, it's 30 minutes. So
Okay.
boom.
Okay.
You can book that from my website. What about you?
Retreat. just,
Yep.
yeah.
Oh yeah, that little thing, that little detail.
Yes. So our Journey the Soul retreat is coming up. That is May 27th through May 29th. And it's taking place in West Olive, Michigan, just minutes from the Lake
Yes,
Michigan shore.
so pretty.
Currently, you can still grab a spot with early bird enrollment. That's at 7-Eleven. And that is good until February 1st.
Yep.
After that, the price goes up to $888, and we do have payment plans available if you need them. We will also have the option for add-ons. We just have 6 spots available. This is for private sessions with Joe and I on Monday the 30th. So you can visit the link posted in the show notes for full information and details.
Yeah, we currently have four people enrolled. So 4 people have taken advantage of the early bird pricing. But you can still enroll for 888 right now, which will give you actually a little more time to work out your payment plan. But also that add-on is everything that we've learned over the weekend. You would work with Fiora and I one-on-one. um, you know um, Myself with deeper intuitive development, maybe a little bit more advanced stuff, herself with, oh my gosh, shadow work,
If you
all
want to
sorts
do
of
like,
stuff.
yeah, more breath work or even more advanced techniques like limpias and stuff like that, we can also work with rapé medicine if it's something that you're interested in working with.
I think that is, I mean, and that's a bargain too, because it's only 222 for, a full day, which is, which is less than a session, one-on-one. So,
Hmm.
okay, I'm
Okay.
excited.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so what are we talking about today?
Today, I want to talk about being in alignment with your path, your purpose, with all of the things in your life, with your goals, your intentions, and really talk about what the fuck does that even mean? Because you hear people say that all the time.
Right.
Well, are you in alignment, or are you aligned with your dreams and your goals? And, there are plenty of times when I'm like, what the fuck
Mm-hmm.
does that mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about it. All right. So first, let's start out with, what does it mean to be in alignment? So, in the simplest terms, it's this feeling of ease, peace, and flow that you're experiencing. When you're aligned with your purpose, your dreams, and your desires, all of those things, it feels fucking amazing. Like, really, really good. Like, there isn't anything you can't accomplish. During those times when I feel in alignment, when I feel fully guided by spirit, I literally feel like a superwoman. Like, there's just nothing that I can't do.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful space to be in. But two things can be true at the same time. Sometimes, you guys, being in alignment does not feel good at all. Especially if you're new to spirituality, if you don't have, the years of experience of that ebb and flow. And that's the key. Ebb and flow, it does happen. It's a thing. It can be frustrating when you're in the ebb, and make even, veterans like myself doubt the whole experience and the process.
Yeah.
But when you get back into that flow, it's magic again. And it can feel so goddamn uncomfortable that you think, I can't possibly be on the right path. I can't. Why am I spending all this time trying to do this thing that I most want to do, but it feels so challenging and so hard? Okay. But you guys, this is called discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
Discomfort. And you can feel discomfort and still be aligned.
Okay.
So when your yeses feel like a no, that's discomfort. So let's talk about those moments when your brain says yes, but the universe seems to be telling you no. All right. So first, let's look at what a yes feels like, because remember, it's all about how you're feeling. Perspectives and situations and external, circumstances, those all align with your internal feelings. So that's why you always want to look at how you're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Um, um, The yes also comes from your higher self. Okay, you feel scared but excited. You feel this happy anticipation about things. You feel like you're moving into the unknown, but it's with this feeling of adventure. You feel brave, like nothing could stop you, or like, you know what, I'm going to do this thing anyway,
Okay.
even though it scares me. And you might have this feeling of, fuck it, I'm just going to go for it. Just fuck it. There's also a lot of self pride and accomplishment where you feel really proud of what you're doing and how you're doing it and what you've accomplished. It's accompanied by that nervous tension, but you also have this deeper knowing and this peace. You know.
Yeah.
But those feelings come from ego, and this is a lot of time what stops people. You have this constant and crippling anxiety. If you're feeling that about any situation, you really should not be moving forward.
Okay.
Fear, self-doubt, negative self-talk, any shame or self-blame. If you feel resigned and hopeless, like there's nothing else that I can do, feeling abandoned, rejected, and punishment, that's all coming from ego. Now, that doesn't mean that you're necessarily out of alignment, but those feelings are out of alignment with moving forward.
Okay.
All right, but now finally, what about when it feels like you're experiencing a no, but it's actually a yes? It's actually a sign just to keep going, keep pushing, keep going, stay focused. So you'll feel a little bit of self-doubt. Things feel scary, like you're just not sure. And then you do feel anxious due to a healthy worry. Okay. Listen, the feeling of being anxious may not always be a welcome one, but it's both healthy and normal, and it can help us stay focused or even make better decisions. There's a difference between feeling anxious and anxiety.
Yes.
That crippling anxiety.
Yeah.
So when it feels like you're experiencing a no, and you're experiencing these situations, this is discomfort overall. And that discomfort, there's gold in it, but wow, is it, it can be challenging and troubling. All right. So now that we've covered the feelings that can come with being in alignment with your soul purpose, let's talk more about when your yes feels like a no. So let's talk more about that. Because here's the thing, we need to be really, really clear on discomfort, because this is where people fall out of alignment. This is where people stop when they stop following their dreams or going after their dreams, instead of just pivoting.
Yeah.
Have you ever been in a position like that where you're like, you did a stop instead of a pivot, and you look back and you're like, I should have pivoted?
A stop instead of a pivot. Yes. Okay, I'm trying to think. For me, it's always like career wise. I always try to think of it in that sense. Oh, okay. I know what. I have an example. It's when I stopped going to college. When I stopped going to college, I should have just switched into something different, like some versus just stopping at all. Like yeah.
And this was
And eventually
this
I
was
did.
the design school in LA.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
eventually
yeah,
I did.
yeah.
Yes, all it did, and it's funny because all I really needed was a break. And again, sometimes you'll fall out of alignment and things you'll end up on the right track eventually. I think you just gotta have the faith,
Yes.
right? So
Yep.
what happened was I'm not sure why I felt like I needed to take a break. I think I was just burnt out. It was such a long commute, and I never had anything in common with like the people in college. Like, I don't people had this college experience, like I never had that. Not there.
Y'all, she went to school with frickin' LC of the OC, and I am a huge Laguna Beach fan, and I worship Kristen Cavallari and her brand Uncommon Japes. This girl went to school with LC, and she was like, I was like, what? I would have been fangirling and like begging her to be my friend.
No.
Not her. Fiora was like, I'm too cool for you.
No. So I stopped going to school there. I ended up going to a community college for a while, sometime afterwards. And then it was funny because one of my community college teachers, she went to the fashion design school, back in like the 80s or whatever. And she had gotten her degree from there. And over the course of like her life and her career, now she's a very successful fashion designer. She
Oh,
creates these retro dresses. She has a multi-million-dollar business. But it all did start like, she went to fashion, she went to this school, and she's like, I've always used everything that I learned from going to that school. And she just inspired me to go back. I'm like, gosh, I need to go
yeah.
back and finish my degree. And I did.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yay.
I should have just like, you know but eventually
Right.
I was back on track. So I did what had to do.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And
no
that's why
regrets.
it's like, no. And that's why, again, when we look back and we go, was I ever actually off path? So that's sort of why, when it feels like a no, but it's actually a yes, are we ever actually off path? We need to be really clear on discomfort, because this is where people fall out of alignment. When you experience discomfort, this is being in alignment. All right. So I know that those two sentences sort of contradict each other, but follow me here. So anytime we move away from our comfort zone, we expand, we grow, and the result can feel really, really uncomfortable. This is why our feelings aren't always the best indication whether or not we actually are aligned and on track. And this is why people say, I feel stuck. I feel, I have no direction. I have no purpose. So now I know I've said many, many times, when you do what feels good and it lights up your soul, you are aligned. Okay. And this is absolutely true. Absolutely 100%. When you feel inspired and creative, you are experiencing ease and flow, you're joyfully aligned. But your soul's growth is constant and certain. And our higher self has just one job, to guide us through that growth. So it's inevitable that those beautiful periods that we experience of ease and flow must eventually move into new and more challenging waters. And this is what causes discomfort. It's not a sign to stop, though, it's a sign to level up and move forward. I'm experiencing that right now, you guys, and it's literally the hardest thing that I've experienced in a very, very long time since I moved here. And so, that's difficult.
There's a Fiona Apple song that talks about that. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. No, what
Um,
is it?
she talks about how she's talking about a guy, and he says, but he doesn't like being uncomfortable, so I guess this is where he'll stay.
Oh,
Yeah.
ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's funny.
All right. Oh,
Anytime we talk about this, about alignment and feeling uncomfortable and all that, it reminds me of that song of like how some people don't like being uncomfortable. And so, they
nope.
that's it. Okay. I'm going to interject here with a little bit, because we always hear these quotes, right? We always hear this quote of uh the your growth is not in your comfort zone, like growth doesn't happen in your comfort
Right.
zone, and all these like kind of cliches or like meme things or quotes or whatever, and we don't know like originally where they came from or whatever. But I'll tell you where they came from. They came from spirit. They came from guides. Like, they came from the universe
Yep.
sending multiple people who need to hear the same sign over and over. So yeah, you keep hearing stuff, and like some people can just negatively like knock it down and be like, oh, it's fucking cliche shit like that everyone says. But it's like, but it's because sometimes you just need to hear it. So yeah.
It's true. And it's like the tower
Uh-huh.
card, right? In tarot, everything comes crashing down around you, and that's uncomfortable. Where's my security?
Mm-hmm.
Where's my stability? And so it's about looking and seeing which bricks are still intact and strong that you can use to build a different foundation on. And you can be in alignment and still feel uncomfortable. Both of these things can be true at the
Mm-hmm.
same time. So, what is the measurement for identifying whether or not you're truly on track and aligned? Because that's important. That's probably the most important thing to learn. What's the measurement? Because even though it doesn't feel all that great, you're still potentially on track. This is your measurement. When your thoughts, your words, your decisions, and your actions support your desired outcome, regardless of your external circumstances. That's it. That's it. That you're in alignment when you make decisions that nourish and support your soul goals. So ask yourself, when you're feeling like you're stuck or you're not moving forward or you're out of alignment, does this thought, word, choice, and action support the outcome that I most want to
Yes.
experience? Yes. And so then maybe my external circumstances aren't mirroring my internal hopes, desires yet, but that's going to take time. That's science.
Okay.
And we're going to get into that science and manifestation. Okay, so just for example, let's say you want to attend this really amazing retreat near Lake Michigan. I mean, we can imagine, right? So does everything that you think, do, say, and decide support that desire? Okay. Do you say, I'm going to go to this retreat? Do you register for the retreat? Do you make your first payment? Do you continue to make payments to work toward that goal? Do you make plans for child or animal care, request time off? Do you make plans to carpool with your bestie, or do you book your airfare? Do you think often about how fun and excited you are to attend this event and visualize yourself at the retreat with two really cool, amazing, and gorgeous and smart and beautiful co-facilitators? So this is being aligned with your goal or desire. On the other hand, if you procrastinate and miss payments because deep down you don't really believe that you can afford the event or that you'll be able to find childcare, or if asking for something for yourself or asking for help causes you anxiety and fear, this is a clear sign that you're out of alignment. Okay. Discomfort in relation to alignment draws a very fine line, guys, a very fine line, and you have to learn to master it because it can be easy to misinterpret those feelings in that voice within. So that's why it's so important, especially now moving forward, with all of the astrological stuff that we're going through. 2022 is a year about transformation for a lot of people. And so now it's about learning to discern and interpret things correctly. And here's the thing. Life can feel difficult, scary, and heavy in both your heart and your head. But this is not a no. I'm experiencing that right now. This isn't a no. This is this is a time in my life where I need to choose a different forward motion. That's it. That's all it is. This is your sign that it's time to align with the things you want by taking a deeper dive into why things feel so challenging and why you choose not to pursue them with intention, right? If you're saying, this is too hard, I don't want to do this, I can't do this. And then say, well, why? And your why is legit. It doesn't matter if you say, nope, I'm not doing it, and this is why. It's just as legit as if you say, I don't know why, but I'm going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
There's no wrong answer. But let's talk about ego versus the higher self, because you're getting those messages from one of those two sources. The difference between a fear-based answer from ego and the voice of your higher self, let's talk about that, because you want to think of your emotions as our built-in intuitive GPS, which that's what they are. So from ego, right? Ego is our pain identity, which I always thought that was such an interesting way to describe ego, because I do feel that ego gets a bad rap. It likes to keep us safe.
Yeah.
But it really does identify with pain. It uses the emotions of anxiety, fear, tension. And this is fear that keeps us stuck, right? This isn't our discomfort. Anger, self-blame, guilt, failure, shame. It uses all of those emotions to keep us safe. Pain is what the ego knows. It's what it's comfortable with and the language that it understands. So it wants to keep us identifying with those negative, sort of emotions, because then ego actually has an identity. It has a purpose. It's doing its job and it feels needed. And without that pain, it feels unheard and unimportant. And that when we feel unheard and unimportant, everybody has different ways of coping with that, but that's not a good place to be. Which is a really good segue into shadow work and giving the inner child a voice, but we're not going there today. But I if I'm not mistaken, I think are you going to cover that in a future episode?
Yes. Yeah. That's what we're talking about next week.
Yeah. You see, look at that. All right. So now the voice of our higher self. that feels like, joy, love, excitement, and expansion, happiness, inspiration, fulfillment, all of those things. And the higher self needs no identity. The higher self doesn't have to identify with anything because you are its identity in human form. We are our higher self. Um, you are the energy incarnate, and in your natural state, which is free, loving, and joyful, there's no need to experience pain. The higher self is sort of what I call your badass truth teller and your most trusted voice. It really is.
Yeah.
And pain is foreign to the higher self, except as experienced through you. So the only way that the higher self can experience pain is through us as humans. And the only reason that it does so, the value to that is for the experience. And I know that's a little convoluted, but it's like we want to experience something new that we've never experienced before, like cliff jumping, which I'll never do. But, it's like, how can I do this?
Okay, I want to say something here. We listen to a lot of murder podcasts and stuff like that, right?
Yes.
Okay, there have been, and I kept thinking about like when we're talking about ego and like fear and these things of like, how sometimes we hear these stories of people who are in odd situations, dangerous situations where their life is in
Yeah.
danger, and for a while I was thinking, I'm like, oh, but like the ego keeps us safe, the ego keeps us safe. But then I remembered like a lot of these stories, not all these stories, but a lot of these stories, they've talked about how like out of nowhere they just hear like a voice in their head that says
Yeah.
run or
Yep.
get out or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, that was not the ego. That was the higher self.
That's the higher self.
Yeah.
The higher self has the ability to override, which we'll talk about in a minute. But yeah, definitely. I heard that one time I was driving and I heard slow down and I was like, no. And then I hit a deer. So
no.
dumb. But if we listen to our higher selves 100% of the time, we would experience so much less pain and worry and a lot more ease and flow. But we're learning, right?
Yeah, that's what we're doing here.
That's what we're doing. We're here on a journey. All right. So now that you know how to tell the difference between a yes, no, ego, the higher self, all of those, we've covered a bunch of different things. You now are equipped to seek some different answers a new way. Our higher self is our most powerful spirit guide and our ultimate teacher.
Yeah.
Anytime I connect to spirit, I always connect to my higher self first and foremost. Yes, I have guides, and yes, there are guides that I specifically access for specific things, but just as a general rule, it's my spirit guide or my higher self that I'm connecting to. And for those times when you need a little clarity, you want to turn to your higher self for answers first for the big questions, guys.
Yeah.
And when you take action on the answers that you receive, you're going to see your life take a whole new direction as you're pointed toward what is divinely meant for you. And again, that can feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That can feel scary. It can feel all of those things that are a yes, but feel like a no.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I want to do is talk about that higher self intention, connecting with the higher self, setting the intention. I am going to post this prayer or, a segment of this next section in the Esoterics community on Facebook and on the Esoterics podcast on Instagram. So you'll get all of these. I'm also considering, now listen, don't hold me to it because you know me, I'll procrastinate and shit, but I'm also considering actually just doing a recorded meditation of this and just offering it for a free download from our website.
That's cool.
So yeah, it's it's just something easier to plug in and listen to versus doing this yourself.
Yes.
All right. So this is the process and intention that I use. I used when I first learned to connect to my higher self in the Akashic Records, but I still use it now to a certain degree.
Okay.
All right. So everyone has access to this. Everyone can do it. It doesn't take any special ability other than intention and the belief that you are capable of receiving the truth of your soul. Okay. Believe that. All right. So now before you sit down to connect, you're going to want to have 1 to 2 questions in mind. Keep it small, keep it short. Don't ask a bunch of questions. You can do this as many times as you need to. Ask your question And then listen with your inner hearing for an immediate response. This is your higher self bypassing any negative programming. Like Fiora just talked about, the higher self comes in and says, stop, slow down, don't do that. Run. Don't second guess what you hear. Just learn to accept it as your truth, because you will know in your heart or your gut if it feels like your authentic truth. Listen to the words and then tune into your gut and you'll know it's real.
Yeah.
Don't get caught up in your own head and start analyzing, second guessing, and coming up with all the reasons why you simply can't do, be, or manifest the thing, based on the answer from your higher self. Look, this is ego jumping in and taking the wheel. This is your pain identity throwing out some doubt, fear, and all the reasons why you can't, shouldn't, or won't. Don't give it any power. Don't give it any power. You're going to close your eyes. You're going to take several deep breaths in through your nose and long exhales out your mouth. You want to get really comfortable, settle into your body, relaxing and opening to the answers within your soul blueprint, the magic of your soul, all of those things. You're going to allow your breathing to just find this soft, easy rhythm. And then when you're ready, you're going to repeat this higher self connection prayer silently or out loud. And again, I'll post this. So just something basically along the lines of, I call upon my higher self, the creator of my Akashic record. I ask to be a pure and clear channel, to seek the best in myself, and to see my truth without shame, blame, or self-judgment. Help me to know myself through the eyes of my higher self, perfect, powerful, and deserving, so that I may know the truth in my highest good of all. My record is now open. It's very important to say my record is now open, because that's the intention, that you now have access to all of that knowledge from your higher self, who is, basically flipping through your Akashic record.
Yeah.
And then the next step is that you want to see yourself in your sacred space or temple, whatever it is where you would send yourself. You want to see yourself moving towards this beautiful sphere of light. That light, that ball of light, holds the knowledge of the Akashic record, the information that you seek. So you want to see your higher self standing next to this light, and then take note of what they look like. What does your higher self look like? What are the details? What are they wearing, from their dress to their clothing to hair and physical features? All of that. Take note of that. And then here's the beautiful part. You're going to look into the eyes of your higher self, and you're going to see that beautiful light reflected back at you. And then when you look deeper into this light, you're going to see an image of your truest self and your most authentic expression. That's you seeing and recognizing and identifying and acknowledging your higher self. And then you're just going to take another big deep breath as you breathe it all in. Take a seat, greet your higher self, say, hey, hello, greetings, whatever you want to come up with, and then ask them to help you understand. And then that's when you ask them about the questions. I ask for clarity and guidance on, the areas of this, that, and the other. All right. So now here's why this works, why this is helpful, because nurturing and developing your connection to your higher self over your lifetime is the key to staying in alignment and co-creation with ease. It won't be your easiest relationship, guys, but it will definitely be your most rewarding and trusted one. As a result, you're going to grow to love and cherish the part of you that has your best interest at heart. That's why I've always said the relationship with your higher self is the most important one.
Yep.
All right. Okay, beautiful humans. Lastly, let's talk about alignment and the difference between manifestation and co-creation, because it is an important distinction. Manifestation is processed through our energetic bodies. It's physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. It's the process of turning energy into matter when and only when our beliefs and emotions are aligned with our desire, right? So that's science. Fiora and I talk about that all the time. So this is why we have to achieve a basic level of self-mastery over our thoughts and emotions, beliefs, all that stuff, before we can intentionally manifest the good stuff like a badass. Yeah. This is why. Manifestation is science. And when you believe, or what you believe to be true, is what you are going to experience.
Yep. The RAS system.
The RAS. I love that one. too.
Yeah.
To align with what you want to experience, you must change the thoughts that most consistently or persistently run through your mind. And Spirit tells me all the time that this is like the simple, most basic truth of our power as human beings and creative beings is that we just have to change our thoughts and then we can basically manifest anything.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So now co-creation, on the other hand, is think of it more like a collaboration. Okay. You're working with and allowing your higher self to guide you to your manifestation while having unwavering faith and trust. In my opinion, that's a little harder. It's a lot harder because it requires the ability to recognize the guidance, the answers, the messages when you get them.
Mm-hmm.
It just takes a little bit longer to master, but ultimately it's a little bit easier. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Once you've mastered both of those, I'm not kidding you, there's nothing that you can't achieve. And you hear about these stories from people, that have mastered this, like Deepak Chopra, Jack Canfield, even that giant douchebag Tony Robbins, who I'm not a fan of at all because he's a misogynistic jerk. Oh,
And
I
a
digress.
sexual predator.
Yes. Ugh.
Mm-hmm.
Jerk. But he can frickin' manifest pretty much anything
Right.
like that, right? But then there are more inspiring people,
That's why,
that have these abilities.
just a little blurb. You can take people's advice without having to like worship them as people,
Right.
because at the end of the day, they're still going to be humans and they're still going to fuck up and they're going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
But that's why you just got to be kind of picky about, pick and choose who you take a lot of advice from. And if they're shitty human beings, more so than others, there's other places to get this information from. They're not the only person in the world blurting this stuff out, because it's coming from Spirit. So there's going to be several sources.
Yeah, even Tony Robbins gets his inspiration and creative spark from Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
How he manifests it as himself in his predatory, misogynistic ways is his choice as a human, right?
Yep.
All right. We had to have one segue, you guys know, at least per episode. So there we go. Okay. So I'm going to read a quick blurb from a channel that I received in a meditation last week that explains manifestation and co-creation from the perspective of our higher self. They make it sound really easy, but this is more flowery way to say it.
Mm-hmm.
They said, quote, "You are eternal, infinite, and finite. You are power personified. You are atoms and stillness and earth and air. You are literally made of the elements that produce manifestations. And now you must learn to manipulate the very matter you are composed of in a way that brings it from your mind into your now experience."
Okay.
Yes, that's so pretty. They say things so pretty.
That
And
is
I'm like,
beautiful.
wait, what do you mean? You mean, wait, what do you mean? Say it again. All right, so to wrap it all up and, to piggyback on last week's episode about our intuitive body, I'm reading a book by Dawson Church called Mind to Matter.
Mm-hmm.
And this book explores the science of manifestation and how our thoughts literally create our experiences. Check it out, guys. It's got me shook. And if you're into the science of things, you're really going to love it. But if you're not into the science, because some people are like, I don't want the science of it, then I recommend Abraham Hicks' book called The Astonishing Power of Emotions. It's a good one.
Okay.
Both are good reads that provide solid practices on learning to master your emotions and then call in all the experiences that you hope to have. And then just as a reminder, be sure to share your favorite books on any metaphysical topic with us and tag us on the socials because we love that.
Yes, please.
All right. So that is alignment and what the fuck it even means.
I had a couple things that I wanted to add. I was just kind of like free writing before we started about alignment and attraction. So there are tips about how to get into alignment or things to take a look at when you're trying to get in alignment. So the first thing being your perspective and your perception. again, like the RAS system. And we talked about this in other episodes, but if you want more information, it's the reticular activating system. So this is what your perception is of things. And if you perceive money to be bad, then you're not going to have money. If you
Right.
perceive a nice car to equal tons of debt, and that's not good, then you're not going to have that either. So
Right.
so it's your perception. So how you perceive your environment is subjective. You've been formed by the experiences and the environment of your life up to this point, the people you've met, the people you've known, all that you've gained and all that you've lost. All of these things form your perspective and your perception. So ask yourself, is your current perspective serving you, or is it holding you back?
Right. Yes.
And your surroundings as well. Who are you around? What kind of conversations are you having with people? Are these people who talk about how they're always broke, or how their relationships suck and all they meet are men that are cheaters, or, like, stuff like that? If this is your environment, again, you're a product of your environment. There's also that saying of like, you're like the sum of like the 5 people that you associate with, or whatever, some
Yeah.
shit
Yeah.
like that. And
Your
it's
consumables too, right? It's like food. Like you are what you eat.
Thank you. We are not just digesting food, we are also digesting experiences. And with
Yep.
that, we're digesting experiences, we're digesting conversations. So everything that you're taking in visually, through audio, all this stuff, your body is digesting it. So yes, what kind of conversations do you have on a daily basis? And do you feel the need to silence yourself around certain people? Do you feel like you can't be yourself? Do you apologize for who you are, or apologize for how you show up? Why do you do that?
Right.
Um,
Right.
and do you make yourself smaller? And understanding that we are dynamic human beings, and we each have something unique about ourselves that we bring to the table, and present yourself in that way, because you don't have anything to apologize for. You are unique in yourself, and people have things to learn from you. Only those who are not comfortable with their own light will try to dim yours.
Uh, uh, Say that again. Tweet it. Say it again and tweet it.
Only those who are not comfortable with their own light will try to dim yours.
Boom.
And the other thing was too is language. Like, what language do you use on a daily basis? What are you saying? What are you saying to yourself? What do you say in your mind? How do you describe things? Again, like, if you automatically see a guy driving a Tesla and you're like, oh, that guy's in over his head, he's got $1,000 car payment, I'll never afford that. You're never going to afford that, because you just put it out there. Or people who live lavish lifestyles are also massively in debt, or however, like your perception of that. Or I could never be thin like that, because that requires a lot of discipline. You don't know that.
No.
You don't know that.
Now, do you want to talk about how you feel about a Tesla?
I'll buy another electric vehicle, probably not a Tesla. But it has nothing to do with being able to afford it. I can afford a Tesla.
Nope.
It's
Yep.
it's
It
one
has
of it
nothing
is,
to
do
do
I
with
want to
money.
give a buck to Elon Musk? Probably not.
Ugh.
And the other is yeah, those fucking mirrors froze on that Tesla in the snow, and I'm like, this is like almost $100,000 vehicle, and you can't get the mirrors to unfreeze in the snow. So that's my rant.
Oh my god, the whole thing, and the doors are unnecessary. They're too, like, what? Just open.
Okay,
Like,
so we rented Discovery. We rented a Model Y, or I don't know what it was, but it had those fancy Falcon wing doors or whatever. They look really fucking cool,
they're cool.
but they're
Back to the Future shit.
way unnecessary. So unnecessary.
And not practical. Not practical at all.
Not practical at all. No, not practical at all. Really cool. Totally designed. Definitely designed by a male.
Swear to God.
Does not have the function. Anyway, so
Yeah.
so that's
I remember seeing it and going and looking at it and saying that's odd, and then shrugging my shoulders and being like, huh, and walking away. Like I could give two shits about a Tesla.
Yeah, and they're cool, but but also I am into like the idea of the electric vehicle and being something that's not petroleum dependent and all that. So yes to electric vehicles, probably not not anything made by
Yeah.
Elon Musk. Anyway, so back to
Okay.
this.
Back to this.
So yes, your language. How do you how do you speak to yourself? How do you speak to other people? This is something that I've been working on because I find myself very angry when I drive. Because people drive so stupid.
They're stupid.
They're stupid, but me yelling at them in my car where they're never going to hear me
No.
is not going to change their stupidity. Like, it's not going to do anything. If anything, I am just expending energy that could be better used towards something else. So this idea of like remaining quiet or just being like, oh, and like letting it out, but that's it. Like, because allowing myself to feel my emotion of like quick frustration and just like, ugh, let it out, and then that's it. I don't have to say anything else about it. Don't have to give that person my energy. Let it go. And so perspective, your language, and your environment too, like your physical environment. We already talked about like who do you surround yourself with, but what do you surround yourself with? What are you watching? What are you consuming? What does your house look like? What does your room look like? Do you have a bunch of clutter? Is there a bunch of mess? Or do you have a pile of things that you're quote unquote gonna get to and you have not gotten to? Like, I have I once went to somebody's house and they had this box of socks just sitting in the hallway, and I was like, what are those socks doing there? It was literally a collection of all these socks that did not have pairs, and that's whenever a sock lost its pair, they just had a box full of socks. And I'm like, have you looked through it? Like, I imagine there's pairs in there, and if not, fucking toss them, god damn it. Like, what are you doing?
I don't know, but the kids these days love to wear two different kinds of socks, which I don't understand.
It is laziness. That is
My
laziness.
socks have to match.
That
My
is
socks
my
have to match.
daughter does this exactly, and it is lazy. It is not about being cool or being quirky. It is fucking laziness because she washes shit, she loses things, and doesn't want to find things. So yeah, it's laziness. But anyway, so the cleanliness, the order, that I can't tell you how much of a relief it is to that sense of accomplishment when after you clean something and it looks just organized and it's like, wow, like I did that and that looks great. And now it gives you again this pleasant environment of what you're looking forward to. But creating the space for what you want as well, because like if you're waiting for a partner, then start creating that space for like you having a partner. Clean off their side of the bed. Create an environment that is like for two people, not just one, because again you're creating this environment of like almost like it's almost here, like it's or we are here, and I'm inviting that in because this is the reality in which I live.
That's something that I have been told over and over and over, and I still have one nightstand next to my bed. It kind of cracks me up, but it's like, Hollis is he thinks he's a human, and oftentimes I'll open one eye and there he is on the pillow, like he's my spouse, which he he thinks he is, but. But that's something I do need to do, even if it's just putting like a TV tray up there, and a little lamp and saying, okay, like this is the space for, my future potential.
Exactly. Yeah. So creating the environment of where you want to live, almost like you're already there. And again, because that's getting into alignment, it's shifting that frequency of what you're intaking and what you're outputting in as a result. Another quick way to adjust, getting back into like that frequency talk of, because frequencies also affect what your vibration is, how your alignment is. So if your the frequency is an easy way is like music. What music do you listen to? You can do like binaural beats meditations. That's a great way to like up level your frequency, but also your joy. So laughter, comedy, things that make you happy. Have you seen the movie Patch Adams?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I
Long
mean,
time
that's
ago.
based on a real story. But yeah, I mean, what did he do? One of the big things that he did to treat his patients was making them laugh.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much medicine in joy and in
Mhm,
laughter
mhm.
and in raising your vibration. Actually, so Erica she's told me this a couple times. She's done this thing where, like, if somebody's being like creepy to her. One time she was at, I think it was like the airport or something, and this guy was just like staring, just like giving off these like awful vibes. So this is like a way to raise your vibration real quick, and almost like to get these people away, because obviously
Repel?
somebody, yeah, to repel
Yeah.
them. So her and her friend, she's like, look, we're gonna laugh like we just said like the funniest thing. So she just starts laughing and clapping her hands, and the guy just like looks at them, gets up and leaves. And
Really?
it's, yes. And yeah, sure, like, I don't care if like I look crazy or
Uh-uh.
what it is, but that's not what it's about. It's about raising your vibration, raising your frequency to the point where you make that bad vibe person uncomfortable and they get the hell out. So,
I love that, to use that instead of, mirroring somebody and be like, okay, now
oh,
you're staring at me, you're giving me
I'm gonna stare
the
back at you.
right, I'm gonna stare back at you and
Yeah.
um,
No.
give you the resting bitch face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I like that.
So,
Yay, Erica.
yeah. So, yeah, so these are just some tips on things that you can do now to help shift your vibration and up that frequency for yourself when you're working on getting into alignment.
Yes, and when your yeses feel like a no.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's so many. I mean, alignment, there's so many different aspects that you can look at to describe or explore alignment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all about feeling good,
Mm-hmm.
feeling in the flow and feeling the ease and stuff, and really being appreciative, because it's typically in those times when we feel that lower vibrational energy where we're like, I need answers, I need help, I need, but when we're in the
Yeah.
flow, we're like, life is amazing and I can do anything I want, I can't believe how badass this feels. And then you're just this amazing point of attraction for all of this
Mm-hmm.
other stuff. So
Yeah.
it's difficult, it's very difficult. And I think also too, at this time right now in the world, empaths especially are feeling the heaviness of so many more people that never used to identify as woo or empath are now, reaching out and saying, hey, don't you work with this stuff? I
Yeah.
think I might be an empath. And it's like,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's a tough time, and we need each other to lift each other up, and we need to keep reminding each
Yes.
other.
And if you're not doing it already, you need to make sure that you're meditating
a
like
hundred
that.
percent.
That's like primary, like, because it gives your consciousness a moment to connect with your higher self. It gives you a moment of peace, and it allows you to release any, especially if you're an empath, if you're carrying stuff around that doesn't
Yep.
belong to you. It gives you that moment to just sit
Hmm.
with yourself and just get in alignment. So
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah, and it
if you're
doesn't
not doing
have
that,
to be like Buddhist meditation or the
no.
clear. It can just be a simple. Some people meditate by walking, taking a walk.
Mm-hmm.
It's about connecting with that
Yes.
inner peace, like Fiora said, your higher self, giving yourself the space to sort of just connect with the goodness and the peace.
Yeah. And if you're one of the people that say that they have trouble, quote unquote, clearing their mind,
Yeah,
try a mantra meditation. There's
yeah,
plenty of like mantra meditations online that you can follow.
yeah.
It's a good way to clear your head without like feeling like, oh my God, I have all these thoughts.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
And plant meds, you can try plant meds. That I'm always able to connect at a much deeper level when I do when I use plant medicine. So
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
okay. I think was that your closing vibe?
Yes,
That
that
was
was my closing vibe.
that was good. Good stuff, mama. Good stuff. Okay. Well, you can find us on all the socials under Esoterics Podcast, and be sure to join our Facebook community, the Esoterics Community, to hear firsthand about our services, events, courses, intuitive development tips, card pulls, free meditations, all sorts of fun stuff. It's a good community to be a part of.
Yes. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with a friend. It would mean the world to us, as it's as easy as sharing a screenshot on your Insta stories and tagging us. Thank you for sharing space with us today. Stay mystical, magical, and ready to do it again next week.
Bye, guys.
See you later. Bye.